the Cape of Good Hope, together with Table Mountain, is one of South Africa's most iconic landmarks. Located close to Cape Town both geographically and historically, it holds deep significance as a symbol of discovery and adventure. Like Punta Arenas in Chile, the southernmost town of South America, the Cape of Good Hope is where the African continent stretches toward Antarctica, and it is one of the most visited destinations for travelers exploring South Africa. For most visitors to Cape Town, the Cape of Good Hope is the first stop, followed by Table Mountain. For many travelers, including myself, this place has long been a bucket list destination, one we first encountered in our school history books, while learning about the great age of exploration, through black and white photos of Bartholomew Dias and Vasco da Gama. When I first arrived at the Cape of Good Hope, I was slightly disappointed. Perhaps my expectations had been too high. From below, the cape doesn't appear as a tall peak, but rather as a cluster of rocky outcrops. Yet, its fame draws countless visitors who line up to take photos in front of the Cape of Good Hope sign, a sight in itself. The Cape of Good Hope is a rocky headland, located on the Atlantic coast of South Africa. Historically, sailors noted that the strong southeast winds blowing along the African coast would ease near this point. For ships navigating the Atlantic, spotting these rocks signaled that they were on the right path toward the riches of India, thus earning the name Cape of Good Hope. It became a vital landmark for European explorers sailing eastward. The Portuguese explorer Bartholomew Dias was the first to round this point in 1488 and named it the Cape of Storms. Later, in 1497, when Vasco da Gama narrowly survived a fierce storm during his voyage to India, King John II of Portugal renamed it the Cape of Good Hope, celebrating the promise of a sea route to the east. Although many believe that the Cape of Good Hope marks the southernmost point of the African continent, that is a misconception. The true southern tip lies 150 kilometers southeast, at Cape Agulhas. During the age of exploration, Cape Agulhas was surrounded by dangerous reefs, making it unsuitable as a harbor. By contrast, the Cape Peninsula, home to Cape Town and the Cape of Good Hope, provided a safe haven for sailors, and thus became far better known than the actual southernmost point. In fact, the true southernmost point of Africa is not at the Cape of Good Hope, but at Cape Agulhas and, more precisely, at the rocky cliffs west of the Cape itself. A monument marking this geographic point stands along the coastal road. The Cape of Good Hope lies northwest of Cape Agulhas, at the end of the Cape Peninsula, near Cape Town. The name Cape of Good Hope arose from a misunderstanding, at a time when navigation techniques and geographic knowledge of Africa were still limited. Early explorers, believing they had finally reached the end of the continent, named it accordingly. Looking at a world map today, it's easy to understand their reasoning after traveling 10,000 kilometers down Africa's western coast. This is the first point where the coastline turns decisively eastward. The peninsula juts out into the ocean, giving sailors the sense of having truly reached the edge of the world. About 2 kilometers east of the Cape of Good Hope lies Cape Point, a dramatic cliff where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans are said to meet. In South Africa, the word point is used for a tip or summit of land, and Cape Point marks the furthest reach of the Cape Peninsula into the sea. Cape Point and the Cape of Good Hope sit side by side at the southern end of the Cape Peninsula, about 60 kilometers from Cape Town. Although Cape Point marks the physical tip of the peninsula, the Cape of Good Hope lies slightly farther south in latitude. From the viewpoint at Cape Point, travelers can look westward and see the Cape of Good Hope below standing. There often brings an emotional realization that they've reached the end of the African continent. Here, cold winds sweep up from Antarctica, and the waves of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans merge along a seemingly endless horizon. Even apart from their symbolic meaning as the meeting place of two oceans, both the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Point offer breathtaking scenery. From the old lighthouse at the top of Cape Point's lookout, visitors can enjoy a magnificent view where sea and mountains meet in perfect harmony. To reach the lighthouse, you can either hike up from the parking area or take a small funicular railway. The funicular charges a small fee, but for those in good health, walking up is highly recommended. Along the way, there are several lookout points and resting areas, and the climb takes about 30 minutes at a leisurely pace. At the summit, you'll find a signpost showing the direction and distance to major world cities, such as New York and Paris. Travelers should be cautious of monkeys along the path. They are used to tourists and unafraid of people. Some may snatch bags or food, and even throw belongings away after taking what they want. Today, the Cape of Good Hope is a well-developed tourist destination, accessible by road all the way to the shore, once reachable only by guided tours or rental cars since 2018. It has also been included on Cape Town's city sightseeing bus route. The southwestern part of the Cape Peninsula, which includes the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Point, forms part of the Cape Floristic region. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2004 for its exceptional biodiversity and endemic plant species. This area contains about 20% of all plant species found on the African continent, and is home to many rare and endangered species of both flora and fauna.